Hey everybody, Arnaldo here broadcasting from Fidelio's Frequency. Welcome to my channel. Happy New Year, happy 2025, and what better way to start off the year with none other than the vinyl tag for 2025. In the past years, Rob Walker from the channel Rob Walker Let the Music Play would always provide the topics or the categories for the vinyl tag for that year. This year, Rob Walker gave up that task, and Edwin from Pretty Green Vinyl, that's the name of his channel, a link to his channel is below. Edwin decided to step up and provide the 20 categories or the 20 questions for this year's vinyl tag. So let's give it a shot at the vinyl tag 2025. Starting off with the first category or question, best purchase of 2024, new or old. In my case, it is old. And one of my grails, one of my personal grails from my want list, I was able to acquire that in 2024, not without the help of a friend who actually found it for me. And that friend is Chance at the channel Concert Buddy. While on vacation and scoping out local record stores, Chance was able to find something that he knew was on my want list for quite a bit. Not only that, he texted me, alerted me that this copy was available, but also he play tested it and assured me that it was a solid copy. So without further ado, my best purchase of 2024 is an original copy from 1971 of Maggot Brain by Funkadelic on the Westbound original label. So thank you very much, Chance, for helping me get my best purchase of 2024. Number two, 50 years later, best album of 1974. I had to Google just to get a list of albums in 1974, and boy, was that a very fruitful year for great albums. There were many to pick from, but I would have to pick probably one of my favorite albums of this artist, who's actually one of my favorite artists of all time. Great album from 1974, definitely up there for many in the top 10 of best albums from 1974. Talking about David Bowie and his album Diamond Dogs. Great songs on here. Theme, like a post-apocalyptic theme throughout the album. The title track, Diamond Dogs, Rebel Rebel, Rock and Roll With Me. And then there are some medley pieces like Sweet Thing, Candidate, the futuristic 1984 song that was based on the George Orwell book, of which Bowie was envisioning actually a staged musical on 1984, which never happened. In any case, my favorite album from 1974, Diamond Dogs by David Bowie. Number three, an album that defines a genre. I think last year's tag had the quintessential or most influential album of the 90s. I talked about this album last year. This is going to be a repeat because this is the blueprint of shoegaze or dream pop. I like the term shoegaze better for this album in particular. Lush, Pale Saints, Slow Dive, Ride are some of the bands that were part of the shoegaze genre, but none did it better than My Bloody Valentine, and Loveless is the album that, in my opinion, defines the shoegaze genre. Seminal album came out in 1991. This cut is the all analog cut, which I highly recommend. Not as easy to find now, but it was remastered by the band members themselves and by Kevin Shields, actually, and fully analog, tip-on jacket, beautiful presentation, beautiful sound. Loveless by My Bloody Valentine, an album that defines a genre. Number four, best band from your hometown. My hometown is Philly. I could have picked a band or an artist from Philly. There are so many great artists from that city. Instead, I chose a band that is from the town or the neighborhood in New York City that I have been living in for the past almost 25, 28 years. And that would have to be the Ramones and their debut album, self-titled, The Ramones, from Forest Hills in New York City, The Ramones. Number 5, an artist you miss dearly. I just talked about him in one of the other categories. One of my favorite artists of all time, gone way too soon, way too suddenly, or at least for the public. He disclosed nothing about his terminal illness and continued to produce great music in the last year of his life. I am talking about David Bowie. I wish he could still be around, giving us great music. He ended his career on a high with the album Black Star, released only a few days earlier before his death in January of 2016. That year we lost so many great musicians, namely Prince, George Michael, and above all, the one that I miss dearly is David Bowie. Number 6, best live album in your collection. This was an easy one of my all-time favorite live albums. Beautifully recorded. They were a phenomenal band live. I never got the opportunity to see them live. I'm talking about Talking Heads, Stop Making Sense. This is the original edition with the removable booklet, and it was recently, actually last year, reissued in double LP format with some additional songs to complete the full concert. There's also a movie, which is considered by many the greatest concert movie ever filmed, ever made, shot by or directed by, captured by Jonathan Demme. Highly recommend that as well. So best live album in my collection is Stop Making Sense by the Talking Heads. Number 7, your partner just dumped you. What album are you putting on? Well, I hope that day never comes, but I have a lot of sad music in my collection. Only one really speaks probably to a broken heart, and that would have to be Sade, Love Deluxe. Just the opening song, which I will read the opening lyrics, says it all. I gave you all the love I got. I gave you more than I could give. I gave you love. I gave you all that I have inside, and you took my love. You took my love. Other songs on here that speak to a broken heart: Bulletproof Soul, Cherish Today, I Couldn't Love You More. So for sure, hope the day never comes, but sometimes I think about it, and this is the album that I would put on, Sade's Love Deluxe. Number 8, best sounding drums on an album. Apart from this album being one of my all-time favorite albums, it is beautifully recorded, and credit goes to Rhett Davies, I believe, who was the engineer and also the producer on this album. The drums on this album sound beautiful, spectacular throughout all of the songs. In particular, if you want to sample one of the songs on the album where the drums are really highlighted, I would have to say on the song The Space Between Us. And of course, I'm talking about the album Avalon by Roxy Music. In addition to The Space Between Us, listen to the drums, the intro to the song While My Heart Is Still Beating, as well as Take a Chance with Me. Amazing sounding, fantastic drumming by Andy Newmark, and just a phenomenal album, so give it a spin. Number 9, favorite artist that is a member of 2 or more bands. Of course, I would have to talk about Johnny Marr in The Smiths. So not only was he part of The Smiths, he is the genius behind the music, the production of The Smiths. This is their last studio album, also named by Johnny Marr as the best Smiths album, that is Strange Ways. Here we come. Johnny Marr has been part of a lot of bands, especially after the breakup of the Smiths. But I would have to say one of my favorite bands that Johnny Marr has been part of, he was actually a member of this band for about a few years. They produced together 2 albums. One is Mind Bomb. That was the first album he guested or was an official member of. And then Dusk, I'm talking about the band The, helmed by Matt Johnson, old friend of Johnny Marr. Johnny Marr has also cited that this is one of his best collaborations, one of his favorite albums outside of the Smiths. Highly recommend my favorite, the album Dusk. But it gets better. He was also part of, and only for one album, he co-wrote and many of the songs on this album, talking about, I only have this on CD, We Were Dead, Before the Ship Even Sank, and Johnny Marr was also part of Modest Mouse. So Johnny Marr, part of many bands, guest musician on many albums. Johnny Marr from the Smiths, The, and Modest Mouse. Number 10, Beatles or Stones? What do you think? Number 11, this was an easy one. You found a bag of weed. What are you going to listen to? I'm not a smoker, but when I hear weed, what comes natural to me associating weed, ganja, my favorite Bob Marley album, Exodus. I think it identifies perfectly with the state of mind, the chill, relaxed feeling that you probably would get from smoking weed. Bob Marley and the Wailers, Exodus. Number 12, an album from the 80s that you still listen to. I'm sure probably all of you are going to think, if you know my channel, I'm going to put up a record by the Smiths. Others have already showed The Queen is Dead. Yes, that would be my most obvious choice. But let's not be obvious. I'd rather showcase and bring to light an album that has been forgotten, that I listen to at least a couple times a year, most certainly during the summer, usually around the beginning of the summer. For me, it just speaks to me of summer because it came out in the summer of 1985. I'm talking about the genius work of Scritti Politti on Cupid and Psyche, their second album, a funk pop masterpiece. You should listen to it if you haven't already. Some people will say his voice is a little bit on helium. It could be an acquired taste. Perfect Way was the most famous song from this album. The Word Girl also is on here. And Absolute, Hypnotize. These were all hit singles. Scritti Politti, Cupid and Psyche, an album from the 80s that I still listen to. Number 13, an artist whose political stance has soured you. This specific artist hasn't really said anything, or his behavior hasn't yet soured my enjoyment of his music. He is one of my favorite artists from one of my favorite bands of all time. I have a running mini-series dedicated to the music of the Smiths on my channel if you want to check it out. I love the Smiths. I love Morrissey. But what is going on with Morrissey over the past 7 or 8 years? Originally in the 80s, he's always been a liberal. All of a sudden now he has become almost borderline right-wing. There's nothing wrong with that. But his political outbursts really are turning me off lately. I love his music. I'm still looking forward to the alleged 2 albums he has ready to go that allegedly no one wants to put out. Come on. Stop the whining. Stop the complaining. Just get back to the music. No one wants to hear your sob story. Please. It's great when you talk about being on the dole and that heaven knows you're miserable now. But get back to it. Get back to the music. Stop the complaining. Stop the whining. Stop all of these some people think he's a fascist, he's a racist. That's all very debatable. But please, Morrissey, Shut up. Number 14, show a favorite record label. Now, I'm going back to the suggestion that the originator of this thread, of this tag, Edwin, I believe, intended the actual paper label on a record. This label is an imprint. Some people may call it a vanity label. While he was signed to Warner Brothers or Warner Music, Prince had his own imprint through which he signed a few artists, released other artists' music, but also released his. And I think this is the first appearance of the beautiful label that is Paisley Park. And I'm going to show you Sign of the Times. And here's the beautiful label. Number 15, a run of 3 great singles. I don't think anyone could argue that the Beatles released some of the best, greatest singles of all time. And in 1967, they released 3 hot, amazing singles, starting off with Strawberry Fields Forever and Penny Lane, or Penny Lane, Strawberry Fields Forever. This was a double A-side, followed by, in the summer of that year, after Sgt. Pepper was released, they also released All You Need Is Love, Baby You're a Rich Man. And to cap off the year of 1967, right before Magical Mystery Tour was released and the movie was broadcast on TV, they also released Hello, Goodbye, and I Am the Walrus. 6 fantastic songs. How can you beat that? Here we have the Beatles, and these are the 3 great singles of 1967. Number 16, a record store day purchase that you actually listen to. This is a very clever one because, yes, sometimes the purchases that I make at Record Store Day get a couple listens and then they get archived in the collection. But this one I enjoy listening to because it is an alternate take of the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. And that would have to be the release from this year in 2024, Record Store Day, Waiting in the Sky, which is a line from Starman, one of the songs on Ziggy Stardust. And there are 4 songs that are not included in the album, probably from the original running order, the first running order of Ziggy Stardust. And the 4 songs are Round and Round, Amsterdam, Holy Holy, and the wonderful, I think it's a B-side, eventually came out as an A-side, maybe, Velvet Goldmine. And the other songs are alternate takes or different mixes. Very enjoyable, sounds fantastic. I really like this album. If you could still find it, get it, and you love David Bowie and Ziggy Stardust, Waiting in the Sky. Number 17, you can be reincarnated as an artist, dead or alive. Who would it be? I thought about David Bowie. Sadly, he died relatively very young, only at 69. I could have picked Kurt Cobain. He died even more tragically at 28. John Lennon at 40. I probably would pick an artist for his brilliance and for the fact that he is still alive at 82 or 83. I'm not really sure. Fantastic performer, stellar songwriter, amazing musician. I mean, historically, who wouldn't want to be Paul McCartney? One of my favorite albums of his later period, probably one of my favorite of the ones that he's released recently. This came out in 2005. Love the picture by his brother Mike McCartney. Take it in the back of their childhood home. And this is chaos and creation in the backyard. So I definitely probably would want to be Paul McCartney if I could be reincarnated. Number 18, best 3 lines in a song. Well, initially, the first thing that came to mind was a lyric written by Paul McCartney. And in the end, the love you take is equal to the love you make. For me, one of the best lines in any Beatles song, maybe in any song ever. But Paul McCartney and the Beatles are all over this tag. So actually I wanted to highlight someone who deserves to get more recognition as a songwriter. Amazing musician, songwriter, lyricist, and I'm talking about Rufus Wainwright. The song that I adore, my favorite Rufus Wainwright song, is on the album Poses. It is the title track, and technically it's a 4-line part that I really love, even though I'm cheating a little bit and Edwin requested 3-line song. So here it goes. The green autumnal parks conducting, all the city streets a wondrous chorus singing. All these poses, now no longer boyish, made me a man. Ah, but who cares what that is? Rufus Wainwright, Poses. Number 19, an album you never tire of. There are a lot of albums that I play from the beginning to the end that I can put on whatever mood I'm in, whatever time of the day. But I think one really is the one that I have been listening to, even though it came out in 1997, so quite a bit, almost 30 years ago. To this day, I still listen to it from start to finish. Sometimes I'll just pick a couple of tracks, but then I end up midway listening through to the remainder of the album. That would have to be OK Computer by Radiohead, one of my favorite albums of the 90s. I've talked about it. I've mentioned it so many times on streams, in other videos. This is my favorite Radiohead album. How can you not? With Airbag, Paranoid Android, Subterranean Homesick Alien, Exit Music, Lit Down, Karma Police. It keeps going on and on. The entire album is fantastic. I never tire of it. I'll listen to it any day, at any time of day. Radiohead, OK Computer. Number 20, share your favorite VC Vinyl Community channel. This is going to be a blank entry. Sorry, Edwin, I only got 19 for you. I don't want to single out anyone or just handpick a few. There are a lot of great channels out there, a lot that I have participated actively with in live streams and or vinyl tags. So check them all out. And I hope you enjoyed the 19 picks that I was able to give you for this vinyl tag of 2025. I will see you in the next vinyl tag, annual vinyl tag, VC vinyl tag of 2026, or on my channel with other videos that I will publish shortly, hopefully. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It's free. It costs you nothing. So I will see you again on the next one. Bye.